These are some veggies. Here goes some leftover soup. And this is some chicken. What are we gonna make? A pot pie, of course. How? Watch. Let's make a chicken pot pie. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees. We're gonna let it be at 400 degrees so that when the crust cooks, it's gonna get nice and flaky. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make our crust. For the crust, you're going to need some flour. We're going to start off with 2 cups of flour. This is all-purpose flour that we're using. All-purpose flour doesn't have anything added to it like self-rising flour. Self-rising flour has like leavening agents added to it to help like when you're baking something that you know that you're already you don't really need exact measurements for. It's good for stuff like that. But when you're making something like this completely from scratch, I mean, self-rising flour can be used, but it's better if you just measure everything out yourself, especially for a pot pie. So we're going to do 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Then we're going to do 1 teaspoon of salt. I use pink Himalayan rock salt because that's a little bit better for you than regular table salt. It has a little bit more potassium in it, which is better for your body. All right, then we're going to add 1 tablespoon of agave. I like to use agave when I am making bread or anything like this because it helps add like that little bit extra layer of sweetness to it. Just adds a little bit of something to it. You don't have to add the agave if you don't want to, but I do highly recommend it because, like I said, it adds a little something to your food. So, well, bread. And this is the agave that I'm using. It's the organic blue agave. You can use table sugar as well. The last things I'm going to add are a stick of butter. So you can use any kind of butter that you want. I'm just going to use 1 stick of butter. And you're going to use 1/3 cup of margarine. But I'm going to use something a little different to add a little bit more flavor to it. I'm going to use some more of this garlic spread. If you saw some of my previous videos, you've seen me use this garlic spread. I'm going to use this instead of the lard or shortening. Or you can use more butter. But I think this will add a little bit more flavor to it, so I'm going to use that. And we're going to add 1/2 cup of milk, and we're going to mix it all together, and then we're going to roll it out. All right. Okay, I've already added my garlic spread to the mix that I've already had with the flour and all the other ingredients. A trick here is I took my butter and I cubed it up, so I just took it and I sliced it into cubes. I'm going to go ahead and add that to the bowl. Now, you want to use very cold butter because cold butter will help make your crust a lot flakier, and you want a nice flaky crust. Now I'm just taking a fork and I'm going to use this fork to cut the butter and the garlic spread, or if you're using, you know, margarine or vegetable shortening or whatnot, you're going to cut that into your flour. This fork will help cut the butter into the flour by mushing it up, and then once it gets mushed up into the flour, it'll form like little pea-sized granules, and that's what you want. Then we're going to add our milk to it and mix it all together, and then we'll be ready to roll it out. Alright, our butter is all nice and cut into our flour. This is how you want it to look. It's like the consistency of sand, like little pea-sized pieces. So this is perfect. This is exactly what you want. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add 1/2 cup of milk now to this, and the milk is just going to help bind it together, and you know, it's going to help make it a little bit more flaky as well. So we're going to mix this milk in, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to roll this out. I know I've been saying this a billion times. We're finally going to roll it out now, guys. Now, what you're going to use is you can use a rolling pin to do this, but if you don't have a rolling pin, you can definitely use like a glass. I've done that before many a time when I didn't have a rolling pin. Just take a glass, and you can do the same thing to roll your dough out, and then just cut it to put into your pan. Alrighty, moving on. Okay, our dough is nice and rolled out on our clean countertop. We're going to go ahead and we're going to cut this up into pieces, and we're going to put it into our pan, and then the rest of it we're going to use to put on top. Go ahead and spray your baking dish. Nice and greasy. Oh yeah. Okay, now we're going to chop up some potato, carrot, and onion. Now with the potatoes, I do not peel my potatoes. I like to eat the skin, so I just wash it really good and scrub it down really good, and then I leave the skin on because most of the nutrients in the potato, the good nutrients, are in the skin. So I like to leave the skin on and eat that. If you don't want to eat the skin, peel your tomatoes. I mean, potatoes. And then with the carrots, I just like to peel the carrots. I don't eat the carrots unpeeled because that's kind of gross to me, but you know, I mean, do you. And then onion. I mean, everybody knows how to chop an onion. Okay, my veggies are all chopped up. Now I have my chicken that I've cut into small cubes. I'm going to go ahead and season up this chicken, and I'm going to saute it up right before I saute the veggies. So go ahead and season up your chicken to your liking. I'm going to add some thyme, some oregano, some basil, and just a pinch of cayenne pepper to add a little spice. Don't judge my top, I dropped it before. It's okay, it still works. Now to our pot that already has a little bit of olive oil, about a tablespoon of olive oil added to it, we're going to add the chicken that we just seasoned. We're going to saute it up. Once the chicken is sauteed up, we're going to take it out of the pot and we're going to add our vegetables and we're going to saute those up and season those as well. Now mind you, this is going to be made with a soup that was pre-made. Now that soup was already seasoned pretty well, but we still want to season each layer of the dish so that it tastes good. You don't need to add too much seasoning, but you do want your food to taste like something. So season each layer and then adjust it accordingly as you cook. That's the best way to have your food taste good. Alright, I'm going to saute up this chicken and then I'm going to add the veggies. Alright, the chicken is nice and sauteed. Now we're going to go ahead and add our veggies. We're going to saute those until they get a little tender, and then we're going to add our chicken back to it. You're going to season this with the same seasonings that we used to season the chicken with, and then just cook them until they're a little tender. Now mind you, this is going into the oven, so it doesn't have to be too tender, because it's going to finish baking in the oven. But you do want it to get somewhat, a little color on it and a little tender. Alright guys, getting closer. Okay, our veggies are nice and sauteed. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to add our chicken back to this, and we're going to add our soup. Now the soup that I'm using is a leftover soup that I've frozen. It's a creamy lima bean soup. You can use any type of soup that you like. It just needs to be a cream-based soup. So you can use like a cream of chicken, cream of mushroom, any type of cream-based soup will work in this. So just pick your favorite one, add it to the pot, let this simmer, and then after it simmers, we're going to add our peas, and then we're going to put it in our crust and let it finish in the oven. Alright guys, we're almost done. Alright, our mixture for the pot pie has started to simmer. We're going to go ahead and add our peas. I already tasted it for seasoning. It is perfect. The soup was nice and seasoned, so it doesn't need any salt or pepper or anything. It's really tasty and good to go. So I'm just going to add in our peas. We're going to stir these in, and we're just going to let this simmer for like another 1 to 2 minutes just so that the peas get nice and cooked. And I'm also going to add in a thickening agent. Now my thickening agent, I'm using some flour. All I did was add some butter to this cup and a little bit of flour, and I'm just going to cut this into the flour just like we did earlier when we were making our dough, and then we're going to add this to our pot to help thicken up the mixture so that we have a nice thick mixture for our pot pie. Alright guys, we're going to add this to our crust. Okay, our pot pie is ready to go into the oven. I went ahead and put the top crust on. Now it's okay if it looks a little rustic. Mine definitely looks a little rustic right here. I have to patch it in, but that's fine. It's a pot pie, it's not the Taj Mahal. Just get it on there as best as you can and put it in the oven. We're going to cook it in there for about 30 to 35 minutes until it's nice and bubbly, the crust is brown, and it's cooked through. Our pot pie's finished. Let's make a plate. Add your pot pie, and now make her fancy. And we're done. Smells delicious, looks amazing. Do you see this? Do you see this crust? Do you see how flaky this crust is? So buttery. I cheated you. Let's give the whole thing a bite. Alright guys, chicken soup pot pie. Bon appetit. This is bomb. So good. If you have some leftover creamy soup, you got some chicken, even if you don't have chicken, you can just make a veggie pot pie. Use all the veggies that you want, put it in this, make that crust that I showed you, and you're good to go. Or you can use any other type of meat, or you can use like a vegan meat. Definitely give this a try. Delicious. And as you can see, not that hard. It's a couple of steps, but it's not that hard. And again, give this a try.